Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at big blind strategy at 15 big blinds facing a 30 big blinds button open, and I'm going to discuss my thoughts on what I think the problems are with using pre-flop solutions. So let's get into the spot. So first of all, apologies for the budget graphics here. Obviously you can see that I've just screenshotted, if that's a word, the poker tracker replayer, and what I wanted to do was to make sure that I could actually give you a spot that I wanted to solve. So we've got the button on 30 bigs, the small blind on 30 bigs, and the big blind on 15 bigs. But as you can see, I've gone in and I've changed the stack sizes. So yeah, it doesn't look great, but hopefully it does the job. So in this situation then, what I see a lot of players do, they look at this spot and they think, okay, yeah, I'm a hero, I'm in the big blind, I've got 15 bigs and I'm facing a button open. So they go to the 15 big blind charts and they take a look at it and they say, okay, brilliant, yep, this is the range of hands that I get to jam. So you can see the hands in red are jams and the hands in yellow are calls. Like, okay, cool, yep, that looks great, I'm just gonna go with that. But the problem is that the solutions at 15 big blinds has everybody at 15 big blinds, which means that the button is going to be having some jams and some min raises, or maybe even some limps, or some, maybe something else, right? So what we've got here is the button opening of 15 big blinds, and the small blind having 15 bigs, and the big blind having 15 bigs. Basically, everybody having 15 bigs, and this is what the solution looks like. I only gave the options to min raise and to jam. I could, of course, include some limps here, but I just wanted to focus on the min raise because that's what happened here. So you can see that the range here is very polarized, right? You've got the hands that are going to be raised called in the top, the hands in brown here. You've got then the hands that are going to be raised folds, sort of the other side of the red color here. And then the red is jam, and those hands are just going to go for a shove or a jam. Okay, so this solution is only good if this is the opening range. Now, bearing in mind that the button has 30 bigs and the small blind has 30 bigs. So this is just not happening, right? The button is not going to go ahead and jam a lot of these hands. And to be honest, before I ran this solution, I thought, well, I'm not sure that the button actually jams any hands, but we'll get into that in a minute because he does. So what I did instead was I put in that the button had 30 bigs, the small blind had 30 bigs, and we as heroes still have 15 bigs, because that's what we're trying to solve, right? What I'm trying to show you here is that you shouldn't just be using the pre-flop solutions because the button's opening a slightly different range. So let's take a look at that range now. So as you can see here, this is the button strategy at 30 bigs when the small blind has 30 bigs and the big blind has 15. And as I mentioned earlier, I was actually surprised to see that there were actually some jams here, like 2s, 3s and 4s, ace 9 off, and bits of other hands like ace 2 suited, jack 10 suited, and king queen off. So what we get to do now is look at the big blind solution to this opening range. And this is a very much more linear opening range. Sure, there are some hands sort of in there that are going for jams, but it is very, very linear. It's not polarized like this one that has some very obvious raise calls and very obvious raise folds. So let's take a look at the solution now against this open. As you can see, it's somewhat different. I mean, there are definitely some similarities. I mean, you can see all the pairs going for a jam, a lot of offsuit ace-x going for a jam. But let's take a look at the differences now. You can see that kings now goes for a jam. The king queen off and king queen suited now going for a jam. Obviously over here, king queen off was going for a mix. Same with king jack off, which looks like it's still doing that. But if we take a look at the suited connectors, we've got 8-7, 9-8, 10-9, jack 10. So they're now going for a jam, and there wasn't so much of that going on here. But I think one of the biggest differences is all of these suited aces getting to jam. So you can see in 15 bigs versus 15 bigs, you're going to be going for the call with a lot of these suited aces and the king queen suited. But over here, you can see all the suited aces going for the jam, as is king queen suited too. So one final difference that you've probably already noticed is all of the folding that's taking place over here. So yeah, this button opening range to begin with, as I said before, is polarized, and versus polarized range, we're going to end up folding a lot of these really weak hands. But against this more linear and a wider range in the first place, you can see that we end up calling a lot more hands. So all the suited hands are going to be called anyway, but then you can see all of these offsuit hands going for the call. Now, yeah, I think that this sort of pocket of hands here is maybe somewhat loose, and you can see that 8-3 offs folding, 7-2 offs folding all the time. So I imagine that these are going to be very, very low EV. But it is pretty interesting to see the difference. So yeah, some major differences here. Suited aces, king queen suited and king queen off going for the jam, more of these suited connectors, and we're flatting with a much wider range. So hopefully this video has shown you that you can't just look at your preflop solutions and go, okay, we're at 15 bigs, we're just going to look at the 15 big solution and it's going to show us what we need to do. But remember that these solutions are based on everybody having the same stack size, and that's something that's very, very rare in tournaments, apart from maybe if you reg from the start and everybody's got, you know, 200 big blinds or something like that. When we get later on into the tournament, and you can see in this example, even without my sort of budget stack size changes here, you can see you've got 10 big blind stack, a 49, a 47, an 11, 14. So lots of different stack sizes. So it's really important that you base your response from the big blind, if you're in the big blind. If you're in other positions, obviously, you know, from those positions. But when you're in the big blind here, it's really important that you base your strategy on what you believe the player to be opening, not just relying on some pre-flop solutions. So I think the pre-flop solutions are really, really good and really useful, and they give you a good place to start. But now we can go to the next level and we can say, okay, stack sizes are going to be different. What does that mean for our strategy? As you can see in this example, the opening range for the button is very, very different. And then that has a knock-on effect on the kind of hands that we need to call and the kind of hands that we need to jam when we're in the big blind at 15 bigs. All right, so I'm going to wrap the video up there. If you've got any comments, drop them down below. And until next time, guys, take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.